Okay, I think we're on. All right, this is the comma one video, and I think we have a series of 3 lessons on the comma. There are so many comma rules, and it's hard for any one person to know all of them. But typically, kids fall on one of 2 sides. Either you use no commas because you have no idea what the rules are and commas don't actually cross your mind, or you know about commas and you kind of just throw them in wherever it sounds good. Or maybe you've even heard that if you pause when you're speaking, then you need to put in a comma, which sometimes is true, but not every time. So in this video, we are going to talk about 3 fairly easy cut and dried rules for using a comma. All right? And you can see those on the board behind me. We use commas in a series. We use commas for one purpose only with a conjunction, and we use commas when we have an appositive. And I'm going to talk you through all of those pretty quickly. But I think if you refer back to these rules for the worksheet and you can only just remember these 3 today, then hopefully we'll have success. So hopefully you know that we use commas when we have a list or a series. For example, Talitha's favorite foods are pizza, peaches, and pickles. Okay? Here's our list. We have 3 nouns, pizza, peaches, and pickles, and we separate the items in this series with a comma. Now, the great gurus of the English language have gotten together and they have decided that we no longer need this comma before the and. All right? So, just so you know, if you're in the habit of doing that, I'm not going to correct that. Okay, the old school rules were that you needed a comma between every item, including right before the conjunction. Now, another example of this would be adjectives that describe a noun that are in a series. So, for example, the sad, comma, lazy, comma, which is optional, and fat, cat, slept. Okay? Here's our list. Sad, lazy, and fat cat. So we would put commas, sad, comma, lazy, comma, or not, and fat. And kids forget about the adjective list much more often than they forget about the noun list. So that's it. That's called commas in a series or commas in a list. And you just need a comma between every item in your list. Okay? The next one, in fact, I wrote these up here in the wrong order, so my apologies. The next one is the appositive. Okay? And an appositive is a noun that directly follows a noun that further identifies it. Okay? And I have an example for you here on the board. Mrs. Pennell, our administrator, is hilarious. All right, here's our noun, Mrs. Pennell. Administrator is a noun following a noun that refers or identifies the first one. Mrs. Pennell, our administrator, is hilarious. So we set off the appositive with commas. This is definitely one of those times, if you've heard the rule, if you can remove it from the sentence, you can take it out. It is a non-essential clause. We still have a sentence, Mrs. Pennell is hilarious, if we remove our appositive. Okay? Another example of an appositive would be Toby Mac, a Christian singer, likes pizza. Okay? So, our sentence, or here we have Toby Mac, and then we have further information, a Christian singer. So, that is in our appositive because it is simply giving more information about Toby Mac likes pizza. If we remove it from the sentence, Toby Mac likes pizza. Okay? So that is called an appositive. So be on the lookout for it. It usually is pretty obvious if you say it out loud. You can hear it, okay? Finally, the last one is whenever we have a conjunction, we need to be on the lookout for a comma. The presence of a conjunction does not mean you have to have a comma, but it does need a comma if the conjunction is holding together two complete sentences. Here's my example. Make sure we can get it in here. He will get the information. Oh, I'm sorry, wrong one. I came in late, but I was not marked tardy. Okay, so here's what we have. Here's our conjunction. If you're familiar with the fanboys, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. Those are what we're looking for. Here it is. So we have to check, do we have a complete sentence on both sides? I came in late. Yes. I was not marked tardy. Yes. So we need a comma. Okay? Check out the next sentence. He will get the information and type it up today. Okay? Here's our conjunction. All right, let's check both sides. He will get the information. That is a complete sentence. Type it up today. That is not a complete sentence, right? So, we don't need a comma. And the rule is pretty cut and dried, all right? Either you have two complete sentences or you don't. And so if you do, you need a comma. Now, the only time this could ever veer differently, and I'm just telling you this because you might encounter it, is if you had a sentence like, I love dogs and they love me. Okay? If we find our conjunction, here it is, and we check on both sides. I love dogs, that's a complete sentence. They love me, that's a complete sentence. So it would need a comma, and it is not wrong to put a comma there. But because they are so short, you can actually leave the comma out. Okay? For purposes of this class, I say if you have two complete sentences, just teach yourself you need a comma. All right? So, for example, the counter to this would be I love dogs and watching fish. Okay? Doesn't make a lot of sense, but here's our conjunction. I love dogs. That's a complete sentence. Watching fish. Not a complete sentence, so it doesn't need a comma. So there is a worksheet on Jupyter Ed, and it will only address these three rules. Okay? Commas in a series, commas that use an appositive, and commas that have a conjunction, and you need to figure out if it's two complete sentences or if it's not. If you have two complete sentences joined by a conjunction, then you need a comma. Definitely, if you have any questions, feel free to email me or contact me. But hopefully this was enough to get you started. The worksheet, you just need to insert commas where they're appropriate.